I am Courtney Lehman, Secretary and Treasurer of the Morris Area Student Council, and this is Hannah Flogstedt, President of the Morris Area FFA Chapter. It is our privilege to be your MCs for the annual Veterans Day program. On behalf of Morris Area Schools, FFA, Student Council, and University of Minnesota Morris, we welcome you to our Veterans Day program. To begin, please rise, remove your headgear, and face the flag for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Callista Kill. That was a wonderful performance. Our first speaker today is our very own Superintendent Troy Ferguson.
Good afternoon. It's my honor to welcome our community, our staff, our students, and most importantly, our veterans to this celebration. Our students have spent numerous hours preparing to honor you all today. We hope that you feel that honor this afternoon and that you enjoy the program. So on behalf of the Morris Area student body, we welcome you. We thank you for your service to our great nation.
Thank you for promoting patriotism in our school district. It is now my pleasure to invite the University of Minnesota Morris Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and Dean, Janet Shrunk Erickson.
Thank you to all who planned this day and for inviting me to say a few words on behalf of the University of Minnesota Morris, Chancellor Behr, and the faculty, staff, and students at the university. 102 years ago today, my 18-year-old grandfather was on the Meuse-Argonne battlefront in northern France as part of the 304th Engineers, perhaps alongside some of your relatives. 68 years ago, my father was north of the 38th parallel in the 45th Infantry, getting a lesson he remembered all his life on just how cold Korean winters could be living in makeshift housing. And yesterday, when I went to the armory in town for a free and very fast COVID-19 test, alongside the healthcare workers were National Guard personnel managing the process. Once again, our military putting their health on the line for the rest of the country. I am struck by just how long and deep military service has been and continues to be in this nation, whether in highly visible operations at home or abroad, or in so many less visible but no less important ways. We are grateful for your dedication and sacrifices, the dedication and sacrifices of all veterans, which allow us to live in a country that gives people the freedom to pursue education and make a better life for their families. Today especially, we recognize and remember the veterans among us, including the students, staff, and faculty at the University of Minnesota-Morris and in our broader community. And we share our appreciation for those who are serving now or who have family members serving in active military duty. Thank you, veterans, for your service and your sacrifices, for the health of all of us, and for peace in this world that we share.
Thank you. We are fortunate that the University of Minnesota and the Morris School District can work together to support our veterans. We would now like you to direct your attention to Callista Kill, who will be performing America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Callista and Rita Lambert. That was a beautiful performance. Next, please welcome Mayor Sheldon Giese.
Happy Veterans Day. Welcome on behalf of the City of Morris. Thank you to the Morris schools and school organizations to put this program together. In these trying times, it is great that we can still recognize veterans and their sacrifices for this great land. In 2018, it was estimated there were about 18 million veterans in the United States, or about 7% of the adult population. This is almost 1 million less than in 2000, so our numbers are decreasing as we all get older. I wrote a few thoughts that I'd like to share with you today. I call it, how many? How many veterans does it take to be a good citizen? How many veterans does it take to mow the neighbor's lawn when they are sick or can't do it themselves? How many veterans does it take to blow the snow from the same neighbor's sidewalk or driveway? How many veterans does it take to vote every election day to make your voice heard? How many veterans does it take to talk to the young people about your service and help them understand why? Why did you serve? Why did we have to go to war? Why did you leave your family and serve the country? How many veterans does it take to help put the flags up on the Avenue of Flags at the Veterans Memorial? How many veterans does it take to help serve meals to fellow veterans at the local Vets Club? How many veterans does it take to visit elderly veterans when they can? Today's isolation is wreaking havoc on all of us. A simple phone call would be a day brightener to all of us. How many veterans does it take to do the right thing and wear your mask, wash your hands, stay home, and social distance to help curb the spread of this ugly virus? The answer to these and many other questions can be one: you, the one in your seat. But I like to think the answers are all of them. How many veterans does it take to build and maintain the vibrancy of a community like Morris? All of them. Thank you for your service. Be safe, be well. Together we'll get through this.
Thank you, Mayor Giese. We appreciate your service to our country and community. Speaking of service to our community, we are excited to present our Veterans Day essay winners from 6th and 9th grade. Each student will be reading their winning piece. Please welcome 6th grader Isabelle Emmert and 9th grader Kelly Berlinger.
Why should we honor our veterans on Veterans Day? We honor our veterans on Veterans Day, but have you ever really thought about why? Most people think that we have a day dedicated to them because they served in war, which is true, but there's way more than just that. We honor our veterans because they willingly choose to serve. They have to say goodbye to their families for days, weeks, months, and even years at a time. Veterans aren't just one age. They can also be anyone: wives, husbands, brothers, and sisters. My uncle is a pilot for the Air Force, and he has to leave his family for a while. Sometimes he might even have to miss spending holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving with his extended family. My friend's brother has to leave for military training, and she really misses him. We honor our veterans because we will never understand what they went through in combat. They could have seen their best friend get seriously hurt or even killed. Sometimes they don't want to talk or think about war. Veterans serve so we don't have to. They give up their life to go to some pretty violent places. We honor our veterans because some of them come home with scars, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Sometimes those scars are limbs. Others don't come home at all. Just think about how sad their families are. They care about our freedom. They keep putting on their uniform every day and serve this country with pride and honor. They deserve the gratitude and respect. And if you ask me, I think veterans should have more than one day dedicated to them.
What does Veterans Day mean to me? That is a very hard question to answer because it makes you think a lot. Veterans Day is a very meaningful day for me. When I hear the word veterans, the first thing that comes to my mind is the word brave. I think of bravery because that is what veterans are. They are all very brave. Veterans risk their lives every day just so you and I can be free. This quote by Jeff Miller stands out for me. The willingness of America's veterans to sacrifice for our country has earned them our lasting gratitude. I will always and forever be grateful for the sacrifices veterans make every day. I can't even imagine the bravery it takes to join the Army. We are so lucky that there are people that have the bravery and willingness to join the Army. Because if there weren't people like that, life would be a whole lot different. Without veterans, our country would not be free. A couple of my great-grandpas were in the service and went to war. I have an uncle who was in the National Guard, so I know how much courage and strength every single one of our veterans has. I just can't thank you enough for everything you have done and everything you have sacrificed. And my heart goes out to every single person who has lost a loved one because they were fighting for our country. I can't imagine how much pain you must have gone through. Both of my great-grandfathers who served were very lucky because they both came back alive and even started a family when they got home. I am very lucky because I got to meet both of them and visit them whenever I got the chance. Even though my great-grandfathers were lucky, I know that a lot of veterans were not. I know that many veterans died while fighting for our country. That makes me extremely thankful for all our veterans because they really do risk their lives, and some even lose their lives just so we can live in an amazing country. When most people hear the word hero, they think of Captain America or Superman or some type of superhero. Who I think of are veterans because they are the true heroes. They are so brave, and they are the reason why America is such a great country. Here's a great quote by Emily Potter. Heroes never die. They live on forever in the hearts and minds of those who would follow in their footsteps. That is one of the reasons we celebrate Veterans Day, not only to honor the heroes who are still alive, but also honor and remember the heroes who died and never made it back home. I will forever be grateful for every single veteran out there because they are so brave and selfless and willing to risk their lives for us. I think that every single person should feel this way towards veterans, and it is a shame that some people don't feel this way or don't feel the need to be thankful for veterans because they do not realize how amazing and selfless of a person you have to be to go out and fight and risk your life for millions of people who you have never even met before. That is why I think it is so important to celebrate Veterans Day, because when people make huge sacrifices and lose their lives, they deserve to be remembered and honored, not only on Veterans Day, but also every other day of the year. So please, if you ever see a veteran, make sure to thank them for their service because they deserve to be thanked and honored.
Thank you for sharing your amazing essays and your appreciation for our veterans. We would now like to thank Wanda Dagan and the band for the time they have spent preparing this next musical piece. Please enjoy the Armed Forces Salute, performed by the Morris Area Wind Ensemble. Morris Area Band for honoring the veterans through your music. Next, we would like to share a special video presentation. Joe Caproth is a United States Army veteran who served his country in the mid-1960s, spending 13 months on the South Korean militarized zone.
Since then, he has continued to serve veterans as a commander for Legion Post 398, Foley, Minnesota, as a commander for the Veterans of Foreign War Post 4847, St. Cloud, Minnesota, and as an active volunteer for the VA Health Center. His passion for community service and honoring those who serve is honorable.
Several years ago, I happened to hear one person ask another, what makes veterans different? Now, I have no idea what prompted the question, and I never did hear the answer, just the question, what makes veterans different? First of all, I think we are. Some of us take a great deal of pride in having served in our country's military, some such a small amount you wouldn't even hardly notice. Most of us significantly more. We take pride in being part of that less than 2% of the population that has served our country. And then there are those with physical and psychological wounds that defy anything any of us can even begin to understand. Yes, I think we are a little different. You can see it. We don't wear caps that say forklift driver or orthodontist, but we wear jackets and shirts and mostly baseball caps that say Army or Navy or whatever our branch of the military. We show up at our local hometown parade, maybe limping a little and a little hunched over from all the years. But when the flag comes by at the start of the parade, we stand a little taller, a little more proud, and maybe salute as the flag goes by. We are a little bit different. And that question stayed in the back of my mind. And when I would see something in a newspaper or read it in a book or see it on a movie, I'd say maybe that helps me understand a little bit about why are we different. And I'd like to share some of that with you here. The ancient philosopher Pericles said something to the effect, happiness is the result of freedom. Freedom is the result of valor. Pericles stopped one line short. He should have added, valor is the result of those who have served. Veterans, those young people who are just entering the very prime of their life in some military office or induction station, stepped forward and took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. They have just taken the first step. They've joined the military to become a veteran. And it makes no difference what your job was in the military. If you were a cook at a training base in Kansas, a supply clerk at some remote base clear on the other side of the globe, a jet engine mechanic aboard an aircraft carrier somewhere out at sea, or a scared to death young infantryman charging across the blood-stained sands in a country called France on a beach called Normandy. You all signed the check. You see, we have no idea how long we have on this earth. It might be tragically short or blissfully long. We have no idea. The only thing we're certain of is when our time is done, we're done. Yet these young people turned to their country and said, I will give you 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and in some cases even more years to protect our freedom, to ensure our happiness. They all signed the check. And I would like to illustrate it this way. These young people took out their checkbook, not the one that they used to pay off their Discover card at the end of the month, but instead one that gives out bits and pieces of their life. And up where it says date, they put the date that they took that oath to protect and defend our country. Where it says pay to the order of, they proudly put in capital letters, the United States of America. Where it says amount, they put my life. Where it says memo, they said cash this if you must, and they sign that check. They sign that check. You see what just happened here? These people have told their country, if you must take my life to protect our happiness and our freedom, you have my permission to take my life. So I got wondering, what kind of person does this? Makes that kind of a commitment. And that's maybe best understood if we look back on the history of those who have served before us, and maybe it'll help us understand what kind of people these are. Let's go back to the Revolutionary War, the Boston Tea Party, up through our struggles in Afghanistan and elsewhere. There's thousands of stories, and actually thousands of stories. Let's look at a few. Let's go back to World War I. Let's go to France. Let's go to Belleau Woods. The German guns are shooting everything that moves. Everything that moves. The American soldiers are coming in. The French army is hollering, go back, they'll kill you all. The Americans say, go back, heck, we just got here. As we know, America and her allies prevailed in World War I. It came at a cost. World War I, over 116,000 American lives were lost. Checks cashed. Let's move forward to World War II. We actually fought two wars at the same time, one in Europe, and there's countless stories out of the European theater, another in the Pacific, and there are countless stories out of the Pacific theater. Let's go to the Pacific. Let's go to a little tiny island called Iwo Jima. Now the island itself was tiny and not worth much, except the American planners that were planning what they felt was the inevitable invasion of the Japanese homeland felt they needed it for an emergency air base for damaged and wounded aircraft. The Japanese knew the Americans would come, and they knew they could not stop these Americans. So they sent one of their best defensive generals and 22,000 soldiers to organize a defense. They dug that thing full of caves, tunnels, and firing points. They could pop up, fire, and disappear before the Americans had any idea where it was even coming from. An incredible defense. It was make the fighting last as long, be as harsh, fierce, and bloody as possible. Slow these Americans down as much as possible for this one little island. Maybe then the Americans would find some other way than the invasion of the Japanese homeland. Slow them down at all costs. The Americans raised their flag on Mount Suribuchi in 5 days. It took 5 more weeks of horrific combat before the island was secured, but ultimately the Americans did take Iwo Jima. And as we know, eventually the United States dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and ended World War II. America and her allies prevailed. It came at a cost. Over 6,800 American lives were lost on Iwo Jima. Over 405,000 lives were lost in World War II. checks, cash. Let's look at one more short one. Let's go to Korea. I'm familiar with South Korea. I spent in the mid-60s, 13 months there in the demilitarized zone. Korea is terribly hot and humid in the summer. It is a brutal, damp, biting cold in the winter. It's hills, mountains, and rice paddies. It's a terrible place to fight a war. On one of these hillsides, there was an American unit surrounded 20-1. 20 North Korean and Chinese fighters for every American. The commander of the American unit said, "We have them right where we want them. We can shoot in any direction and hit the enemy." Korea, 34,000 American lives were lost. More checks cashed. Now here's my challenge to you. Everyone that is watching this, every one of you, we've established that our veterans have shed their blood, their sweat, their tears, and given up years of their life. My challenge to you is not this day, this week, this month, or even this year, but any time that you identify someone as a veteran, whether it's something that is said or some clothing that they're wearing, that you say the 5 words, "Thank you for your service." Because all of you have to understand, you need to understand what we did for you. God bless all of you. God bless our veterans. And God bless America.
While Veterans Day is typically a tribute to America's living veterans, it is always appropriate to include a moment of silence for those who gave their lives for their country. Please stand and join us in a moment of silence. As we stand, let us remember those who are protecting us today, both home and abroad. Please remain standing as we retire the flags.
You may be seated. Thank you. It's been an honor to MC this Veterans Day program. We would like to give a special thanks to the veterans that have served our current military members and those who have lost their lives serving. Have a great Veterans Day celebrating with the ones you love.